Hi, this is Al Lipper, and if we're meeting for the first time, I work with entrepreneurs to help them make more money in their business and do so in a way that gives them more free time, specifically so they can spend that time on things that matter most to them in their lives, and very often that's family with the people who I work with. And so often I give you techniques for business, in your business for making more money and freeing up more time. Today is going to be something more focused on how the money that you make in your business can bring you happiness. I mean, after all, isn't that what we're after in our lives? I mean, we work hard, we come up with ideas, we strategize, we focus so that we can make more money, and that money we ideally want to bring us happiness. And we have different ways of using that money to bring us happiness. You know, a lot of people, when they get lots of money, they go out and they buy stuff, right? You know, we all do. But some people, that's their primary focus. You know, the cars, the houses, the exotic trips, the fancy restaurants, the yacht, the airplane, whatever it is. They go out and they spend money on all these expensive things, and the idea is they think in the end it's going to make them happier. And you and I both know that deep inside, while that might make us happy for the moment, or we might enjoy one of those things, I know I do, but that's not what really makes us truly happy on a deep level. There are other things that really make us much more happy and more fulfilled inside. And what it turns out, actually there was recently a study and a number of articles, and there's a book on it called Happy Money. But it turns out that research into how we can use money to make us happier produces some surprising results. So let me share that with you. First, people often think, well, the more money I make, the happier I'll be. And that's true to a point. And that point, in the United States anyway, is approximately $75,000 per year of income. Making additional money when someone's making less than that will indeed bring them happiness, more security, being able to cover their bills, reduce stress, and overall they report that they're happier. But above that level, and that's not a lot. I mean, you know, if you're watching this, probably you passed that a while ago. But for many people, they've already reached that level, and it turns out for people above that level, they report that the things that money buys them, they might enjoy. Like I might really enjoy the new, larger house I've got, or I might enjoy the nice car that I have, or the airplane, or something like that. But in terms of making me happier overall, going through life a more joyous, more fulfilled person, turns out not so much above that $75,000 a year threshold. But there's good news. There are certain specific ways that we can use our money that will make us happier overall and bring us a lot of joy in the moment. So let me share those with you. I've actually, you know, I think they're so important. Actually, I printed them out, and I stick them up on the cabinet in my office so I can look at them when I sit down for work and remind myself to make sure that I spend some happy money each day. And on top, it says here, did I spend any happy money today? And there are 4 specific ways that we can spend happy money. And again, these are ways that through research of many, many people, spending money on these things actually makes us feel happier, more fulfilled in our lives. So what are they? So number 1, money I spend on an experience, especially a future experience that I can anticipate. And that might be, maybe it's a vacation or something like that. And part of the process is to plan that vacation, to pick the destinations, the hotel, the national park, whatever it is that I can enjoy that process of, because the process is actually just as important as going on the vacation, it turns out, when it comes to happiness. And you probably know this because you probably planned things out and gotten real excited about, oh, let's see this. Oh, I want to see that. That's part of the process. And it could be something simple. It can be planning a date with my daughter. And we're going to go downtown and go out to lunch and then go to a park. And I'm going to plan where we're going to go to lunch and what we're going to do when we get to the park. And I'm going to schedule that date with her for Saturday afternoon. And I get really excited about that. It's going to be something I can look forward to. And then when I'm actually doing the date with her, I'm also excited. I'm in the moment with her. I'm happy. And she is too. So number one, money you spend on an experience. Number two, money spent on sharing time with others. And I guess my second example from the previous one was like that. If I plan time together with a friend, and that could be something I plan in advance, but it can also be a friend calls me up and says, hey, you want to have lunch today? And we meet for lunch, and I enjoy the conversation, I enjoy the friendship, and I'm like, you know what, I'll pay for lunch. And he might be like, no. And I say, no, I've got this. I would like to take you to lunch today. And I pay for that. That's a beautiful way to not only do something nice for someone else, but you get to experience it yourself. Okay, number three, money spent freeing up time for spending with others or on things I enjoy. So this is an interesting one. This is an indirect way to bring more joy into my life. And what that means is think about stuff that I spend money on, or rather I spend time on, that I don't need to. Someone else could do for me. I could delegate. And often these end up as mundane tasks that you don't really think about delegating necessarily, but that you could. For example, my car needed washing and needed an oil change, and it's not unusual for me to just bring it in myself and sit there and I'll do some work while they're working on my car or washing it or something like that. But instead of that, I had my personal assistant bring my car and have the oil change. Not usually what she does, but she was like, no problem, of course. And she spent 2.5 hours taking care of my car, showed up in my driveway fresh and clean with new oil in it. Easy. Didn't cost me a lot, but allowed that time to be freed up for something more important. And I could use that time to actually have lunch with my wife, which is pretty cool. All right, so paying other people to do stuff to free up time so you can do things that you enjoy. Last, number four, money spent giving to others, especially when I can see their reaction in receiving. And this is one of my favorites because it's basically giving money away. And we all probably, I hope you give money to charity and people in need and things like that. It's one of the richest, most fulfilling things that you can do. I've discovered though that when I give it to an individual or I see an individual's reaction, it makes it much richer and more rewarding to me than just writing a check and sending it off to some cause that I might believe in, but I don't know what happens to it. So, something simple, real simple, one of my favorites is I'll go to a local cafe and I'll order a cup of coffee and I'll pay with a $100 bill. I'll ask the cashier, I'll say, could you do me a favor? Could you take the change from this? And I'd like you to use it to pay for drinks for the next however many people come through your line. Would you do that for me? And they usually get a little smile on their face and say, sure. And then I'll sit in a corner somewhere and watch. And I watch people's expression as they come through the line. And they're kind of frazzled or busy or whatever a lot of the time. And they order their drink and the cashier will tell them, actually your drink's been paid for. And they're like, what? Like, yes, a gentleman paid for your drink for you. They're like, really? And it just like brightens up their world, makes their day. And I get to see that on their face. And maybe they look around, and or they ask the cashier, who, or most often they don't. Doesn't matter. I get to see that look on their face, and it just brightens their day. It's one of the. I mean, it's so simple, and I gotta tell you, it is one of the most rewarding things that you can spend your charitable money on. Buy a line of folks at the local cafe a cup of coffee. Okay, so there you go. 4 things to spend happy money on each day. I hope this has been helpful to you. I encourage you, go out, just do one of these things today. Make a commitment now, try one of them, see how it works out, and let me know. Send me a message, send me an email, let me know how it goes for you. All right, that wraps it up for today. If you think this has been helpful, please feel free to pass it along to anyone you know who you think it might be good for them in their life. And as always, all my best to you and your family.